Hey, what's up, Facebook? What's up, brothers? Welcome to the Sunday edition of Mike Your Mentor. This is the Sunday sermon where I share about my life and some of the things that I've been through and have gotten me to where I am now, and how I've just dealt with these crazy things. Right. So, if you're new to this page is all about mentorship, hence the title. But it was birthed out of a process of me asking myself, why can somebody be born into a situation like me or like I was, and go through the things that I went through at such a young age, even through my teenage years and into my young adult years, and still make something out of themselves, right? Be the first person in my family to graduate from college, have my own family today, hold down a good job. Um, I made some horrible choices along the way, which I've shared, and I'll be sharing more of those. But right, how can you not give up? How can you keep fighting? How can you answer that higher calling that you have on your life as a husband, as a brother, as a friend, as a father, and as a member in the community? So that's what this page is all about. It allows me to take the seeds of wisdom that have been planted in my life throughout or by the mentors that I had growing up, whether it was through books or guys that were personally in my life and refused to let me fall to the wayside and held me to a higher standard. And I just want to share those things with you guys, right? And to help, as a good brother, hold you guys to a higher standard, and just fight for this thing known as manhood, right? As masculinity, as it's attacked frequently these days. And some of that, is our fault as men. We haven't stewarded this relation or this responsibility that we've been given properly. And now it's time for us to rise to the occasion and to show the world what that really looks like, right? What honor looks like, what responsibility looks like, what it looks like to resist passivity, to fight for what's good, and to really serve others in an honorable way. So tonight we'll just jump into it, the Sunday sermon. Just a quick recap if you haven't been with us in the weeks past. I kind of shared about how my dad was in and out of my life, how he was there at my high school graduation, then he disappeared. Then he came back for my brother's suicide, and then he disappeared again. And then last week, finally, I had to deal with him coming back into my life when I graduated from college, and then dying shortly after that. And just some of the anger and the feelings that I had as a result of that. So, what do you do when all that happens and you graduate from college and trying to play maybe a little professional basketball, and where does this journey take you? If we get into tonight, actually share my screen with you guys. Where it takes you is it takes you into the jungle. One second. So this is week 12 of the Sunday sermon, and I titled this "Rumble in the Jungle." Because that's exactly where I went when I was done graduating. I had the fortune of going overseas to the Philippines to do a missions trip. I guess a basketball missions trip is what you would call it. And I think it was for 3 weeks we traveled around the Philippines, playing basketball games. Three times a day we'd play a basketball game, and at halftime we'd share our life story, right? Our testimony, different guys. And I was fresh off these wounds of my brother committing suicide, and my dad, or my non-existent dad, dying, and dealing with that, right? And coming to grips with that, and still processing that. And it's funny how God uses these things in our lives that happen to us to affect others and to make a difference in their lives. So this was my chance to do that. So this is a picture from me just sharing at one of the games here in the Philippines. And this was our team here. of guys and of coaches. Starting on the left-hand side, the good-looking Asian brother, Tony, I think was his name, right? Really good three-point shooter. Then next to him was Coach Rich, and then you got me there in the middle, and then you got my boy JV Justin to the right of that, and the guy on the far right end is John. And then the guy bent over with his hands on his knees and the basketball tucked away. That guy was Mark. And then we had the hometown hero bending down. That was Ronnie. And then next to him, the buffer type guy was Yancey. And then next to him, the guy on the left was our fearless leader and our coach, Coach Robin. So this is the team of guys that we're going to set across the Philippines on this 3-week excursion, see what God was going to do, and see the lives that we'd touch, and just have some fun playing some basketball along the way. So the crazy thing that what I thought was surprising about the Philippines was just that no matter where we went, right, it didn't matter if we were in a city or if we traveled, 2 to 3 hours up in the mountains. Somehow these people, they had basketball courts. I don't know where they get the material from. I can't even imagine how they'd get it in some of these places that they did. But they'd have a basketball court, and we'd set up shop, get a little speaker, microphone, PA system, play some music, and the whole town would come out, and we'd usually play against the local team or a combination of guys from around the city. There's actually some really good games that we played inside a stadium. We played this college, I think it was this high caliber college team one time, gave us a run for our money. So it was a lot of fun. And here is the mayor and one of these municipalities shaking my hand and presenting me with something. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember what it was. But as you can see, you got the people lined up all around the basketball court, and to come watch us play, and to listen to the message that we had to share. And I had a lot of opportunities to just kind of share what I'd experienced so far in my life with my dad being in and out of prison, and then my brother committing suicide, and then my dad dying, and how I was dealing with that. And the emotions were still so real and so raw. As I spoke to the crowd, and somebody we had Pastor Gary. He wasn't in the team photo, but he was basically our translator and our host around the island. But he would translate, right, as I shared my story, and God would show up and do His thing and speak to the people and move them. Sometimes to tears, sometimes to repentance. So it was a great thing, and it was a lot of fun. Let's see what the next picture is. All right, so here's one of the school teams that we ended up playing at the school with all the kids watching. And another thing I remember is we ride around in these old World War II Jeeps. I don't have a picture of it, but I'm sure if you Googled jeepney in the Philippines, you'd see what I'm talking about. And these things were not made for tall guys like us, but we'd be hunched over in them, and we'd pull up to the place where we were going to play, and then one by one we'd get out, some of the shorter guys, and then I'd get out, and then, no one would make a big deal or anything, and then my buddy Justin would get out, and people would just be like, ooh, oh, whoa, and point and stare at him, and it was just funny. It was like they, because they don't see people that tall, or in that area, and they just, for whatever reason, they just found that amazing. Justin was a giant in the Philippines, and then we'd do the same thing. So we'd be going through warm ups and doing our layup lines and stuff, and I'd maybe go up and then do a dunk, and nobody'd really even care, right? The short guy or the smaller guy does a dunk, no big deal. Justin goes up, barely needs to jump, dunks the ball, and the place goes crazy. People are screaming and cheering and laughing, and they just thought that was awesome. So that was funny to me, and that always made me laugh when they saw Justin or when he did that. He was happy to put a smile on people's face. But it was really cool. We played these schools, and we'd go in there and we'd play their team, and then the same thing at halftime. Somebody would share their story, uh, and what their testimony. And then here's another picture at a different school where I got to share again. Got Mark in the background laughing. I must have told a joke or something, or attempted to tell a lame joke. And you got the kids in the background. But it was really awesome, for them to just kind of hear my story, right? Like, I think that maybe the persona or the way people view Americans is they think of America and the land of opportunity, and they think of riches, right? And people driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris and everything that they see on TV, all this glitz and glamour that comes out of Hollywood. And then you go there and you share something so real with them, about your life and what it's like to know struggle and to relate to them on that level, and talk about sadness and regret and anger and confusion and wanting a father in your life and not having that, and what that looks like and what that does to you and how you deal with that. Those are things that transcend every language. They transcend every culture that you go to, and people were drawn to that. They were drawn to that vulnerability and that realness. And I had, for the most part, been pretty vulnerable and real in my life up to that point. But it was definitely a turning point in my life as I got to see more firsthand, the power of a person's story in the way that it can affect people. And this was kind of the beginning of my journey towards a little bit of this mentorship that I'm doing right now. And just realizing that the weight, I guess, or the weight my story carries, and just the impact that it has on people. So here's after the game, we're passing out these tracts that we had with us, basically a little booklet, just talking about God's love and how He wants to have a relationship with you, and just giving it to the students who are interested. Sometimes we'd sign autographs if they wanted that too. But yeah, it was a real cool moment, and I was very fortunate and glad to have a part in that, and partake in this basketball opportunity here in the Philippines. So here's the last picture. This came from a church that we went to that asked me to share my story. So I got up there and I guess put my preacher hat on a little bit and shared that story, or just my life, like I've been sharing with you guys about some of the things that I've been through in the way that it's affected me. And if you've been with me up to this point, I just want to keep it real. I care about you. So I want to share something with you guys. And it just it's from my heart. And there's a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about God and about relationship and what that looks like. And what I've learned over the years is all God wants with you is He just wants a relationship with you. You're His son. He's your father. He wants to know you. He wants to know what you care about, what you like. He wants to talk to you. He's not so much concerned about what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. I mean, all that stuff will come, but it's about that relationship. And a lot of people don't have a real relationship with God, and they don't know, what that looks like to experience God's love, or to hear God's voice, and to have Him tell you how proud He is, how much He cares about you, what you mean to Him, like I did when I shared when my dad died, and I felt like the guy in the box. Didn't know anything about me, didn't care about me, would never know anything about me, and for God to tell me that He knew everything about me was a very profound moment in my life, and something that I'll never forget. So I want to encourage you, if you don't have a relationship with God, it's pretty simple, right? That's the awesome thing about the Bible, is that it's simple enough for a child to understand, but it's deep enough for the smartest and the wisest men to never fully understand the mysteries of God. But it's simple, right? So you have A, admit you're a sinner, and that you've made mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. In Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." Right? We're all sinners, and we need to recognize that, and we need to admit that. The B stands for believe that Jesus is God's Son. He died on the cross for you and rose from the dead. And I didn't put that verse up there. I want to say that it's John 1:9, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. John 1:12. But to all who did receive Him, who believed in His name, He gave the right to become children of God. Right? We don't understand, or I shouldn't say we don't understand. We maybe don't fully comprehend, or we dismiss the gravity of real love. And sometimes I talk about this, right? It's easy to love things that are, I don't know how to say it, easy to love. Like, it's easy to love puppies. It's easy to love ice cream. It's easy to love pizza. All these things that bring us joy. Those things are easy to love. But where does love show up when life is hard, right? When maybe you have a spouse and you don't feel those same butterflies in your stomach, and you've been through a hard situation, and you're dealing with the death of a child, and or the strain that parenting puts on the relationship, right? And things become hard, right? Where's the love in that? Well, the love in that is the action, right? It's not that feeling that you feel, it's the action that you take every single day towards that other person as you continue to pursue them and to move towards them. And that's what God is doing, right? And He fully demonstrated that when He gave His Son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for us, to show us how much we meant to Him. He gave His Son for us. The C stands for confess Jesus as the Lord of your life and commit yourself to following Jesus and serving others. Romans 10:9 says, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you'll be saved. It's that simple. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not a preacher. Never professed to be. I'm just a guy that's been through a lot of stuff, and I realized that without God's grace, I wouldn't be here today, and I definitely wouldn't have the life that I have. And that doesn't mean I'm sure life has some more surprises in store for me, some more joy, some more maybe some more tears, but that's okay, because I know that there's a purpose for it, and all the pain and all the hurt that I've experienced thus far in my life has gotten me to this moment where I was finally brave enough to do this and to start this series and share these things with you guys every day for 2019. And if that's what it took to get me here, then that's what it took to get me here. Because I love you guys enough to be real with you, to be vulnerable with you, and just share who I am. I don't think I have it all together. I screw up every single day in many different ways. But the thing about me is I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep moving forward and hopefully learn from my mistakes and become a better person, right? And God's moving. God is moving in the lives of men. He's calling men back to their rightful place as kings, as servant kings. Because a lot of us have abdicated our throne, right? This place, this responsibility that we've been given, we've ran away from it. We haven't accepted it. we've shied away from it. And God's calling us. He's calling us back as fathers, as husbands, as leaders in our community. And all we can do is take responsibility for ourselves. All we can do is look in the mirror each morning at ourselves and refuse to quit. And refuse to take the easy way, to be passive, right? And to ignore the problems and the challenges and the potential hurt. No, we walk towards it. We move towards it. And we'll overcome. Because greater is He that is in us than he that is in the world. So thank you guys for checking out tonight's Sunday sermon. Tomorrow's My Life Monday. Normally I don't like doing My Life Monday, sharing things about my life from the previous week with you guys, but some pretty cool things happened. Just got back from a men's retreat with my son, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But some of the topics that were talked about at this retreat, you know, it's crazy. I don't think it's a coincidence that I talk about the things that I talk about that God wanted me to share. Because of what's going on in this world, in this call that we have on our lives as men. So I hope you guys have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow for My Life Monday. I love you. Peace out.